Greetings and love, everyone. This is Marcia from Gnoshery Libertas, and you are joining us for Sanctuary episode 48 on December 26, 2022. And we come together every Monday evening as a live group so that we can connect our hearts and minds and really begin to bring some magic and some meaning and purpose into what we might consider some of the more mundane or ordinary aspects of our lives. And we do this by tuning into what I call spirit, Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, whatever name you want to give the part of God that moves within us, but also has that eagle eye perspective outside of us that allows us with that perspective to perhaps come from a more responsive or nurturing or nourishing place of love within ourselves rather than from a reactive or habitually wounded or patterned place that we might be unaware of without Spirit's guidance or highlighting. And so every week, Spirit within meditation gives me what I call, or actually what Spirit calls, a light transmission or a topic that kind of encapsulates the energy of the week and how we can best on a human personality level, the part of us that has to perhaps go to work or pay bills or be in relationship, how can we best navigate that third dimensional reality that is, as we'll talk tonight, shifting into fourth and fifth density so that we can actually begin to thrive on all of those levels. And if you would like to become a live guest, you can check us out either on Patreon or buy me a coffee. It's patreon.com/Gnoshery Libertas or on buymeacoffee.com/Gnoshery Cafe. And this offers you access to our private community as well. And you can also receive discounts on the one-to-one readings and mentorships, which I offer. As well, these can also be scheduled now on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/Gnoshery Libertas. And now that that is out of the way, I'm going to take a moment to go inward to bring forth the transmission this evening, which Spirit has called the God Mimic Gimmick. Within this transmission of the God Mimic Gimmick, which, how many times am I going to say that tonight? I do not know. Peter Piper picked. But this feeling of Spirit needing me to be very specific with the mimic and the gimmick and getting the definitions that Spirit wanted out here in the world to express this transmission in the most clear and precise way. And so the mimic energy of reproducing or simulating or making a copy of, and the gimmick energy of a device which is used to cheat, deceive, or trick, especially as a mechanism for secret and dishonest control. And that was particularly important throughout this reading, is that we're dealing on a fourth density level with some secret and dishonest control. And this has been going on for thousands of years. We've been in a simulation for thousands of years, but we're beginning to wake up to this realization. And maybe wake up is the wrong word, but become aware. Things are starting to click on. We're starting to see in ways and feel in ways that we may never have experienced on this planet before. And as we kind of unpack and unravel this God Mimic Gimmick, we're also going to touch on the supporting energies, which are helping us to embrace this transition, where Spirit says the God mimics are revealed. We're also going to talk about the frequency, what Spirit is calling made with love, and how all of this is purposeful because it is allowing us to become unshackled. And even if it feels scary and daunting and challenging to our human personality self, we can also trust that we are in divine protective energy while this timeline is, quote, from Spirit's perspective, up in the air. So the supporting energies tonight of embracing transition, God mimics revealed, made with love, unshackled, protective energy, and up in the air. All of these things coming together to reveal and release this energy of the simulation or the reproduction of God. And I often talk a lot during these calls and then open the floor. And tonight, I would definitely love anyone to engage in this discussion. If you have a perspective or something that comes up that you want to share, feel free to put in the chat. Feel free to let me know at any point in the call or raising your hand that you have something, that you would like to bring to the surface here, because there's a lot that is coming through. And this understanding that the simulation actually, while on one level controls us, we, the human spark, the human species, are moving in an organic ascension timeline, which completely transcends this control. But if we are living in the vibrations of the predator prey reality that has been created for us over thousands of years, then we are living often in this feeling of loneliness or hopelessness, because that is what that simulation is designed to create. It's designed to create a void or a separation from God. And so then you have to consume and fill that void, often making a lot of profit for somebody else. And so tonight we're going to talk about how we are to embrace this transition, kind of what's going to happen when the wool gets pulled off of everybody's eyes. How are we going to, as Tom would say, maintain the cheese on our cracker as all of these things are kind of polarizing and swinging the pendulum left and right and creating such an upset in, general energy on this planet. So the very first energy that we will speak to tonight, that is one of Spirit's supporting energies, is this embracing of transition. And the very first lyrics to come through here were, may I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. This time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the 1,000 reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. A secret world, a treasure chest to you of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A tender lover's smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. Oh, how I suggest, yes, I suggest to you. Yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. And then Spirit finalized these lyrics with, there is a hope that's been expressed in you, the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. This is the fate that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. Inside you know, inside you understand, inside you know what is yours to finally set right. And so as we embrace this transition, Spirit is encouraging that being a part of this great turning, no matter how complicated and challenging and exhausting and draining from time to time, that it is in truth the best part of the life of the soul, that this time is blessed for us. And it's shining almost blinding bright from the perspective of who we already have become, the part of us that is looking back on us, walking through this turnstile. And so as we move into this next part, Spirit wants us to know that this is an evolutionary transition from 4th to 5th density as a planet and as a species. That humans are in the process of transitioning from 3rd to 4th density, some from 4th to 5th. And this can be terrifying because it means leaping into the unknown, and it is felt at the cellular and cellular levels, but is making a transition to a new level of consciousness. So we're moving out of this predator-prey consumer reality, that is preying on us by trying to create despair within us, because that's what it feeds off of. And instead, we are moving into a reality where we begin to see each other truly without veil, where we begin to connect at the level of soul. And when you live from that place, you don't wish to harm another because you feel another as yourself. And this includes the animals, the insects, the other beings on this planet that are also moving into this state of consciousness. And something that we're going to notice and may have already noticed is that animals are also beginning to highlight this new awareness. It might start to seem that you might find a fly with a soul, or a squirrel with a soul. Man, these are just tongue twisters tonight. But these animals that seem to appear to have an individual personality where they previously were only containing maybe a group mind. And so as we move this transition to this new level of consciousness, the lyrics that were activated were free will, moving how we like, free will to fall apart and thrive. Ah, ain't it good to know that it's all right? And spirit reminding us that we've already won. Like the future is already clapping for us, but we still have to walk the path to get there. So we're encouraged, embrace this transition, trust the process, watch and participate in the greatest show, not only on Earth, but throughout the cosmos. This is a focal point of cosmic evolution. Trust the process, even though you cannot clearly see where it leads. And this feeling from spirit that even if people believe they think they know where they are going this year, no one can actually clearly see where this leads, because we are moving toward integration as a species, which of course looks like a lot of crazy polarization for a time. But each of us is going through our own transition in consciousness. And yes, this might mean struggling with loss and grief and guilt and integrating these deeper and what we might consider heavier emotions when the personality is experiencing them. But no matter the circumstances, the underlying message is that we open our arms and heart to this transition and allow ourselves to embrace this as a natural part of life. This is an organic ascension timeline, and it is an essential aspect to our evolution. Before I move on to the part of the reading where the God mimics are revealed, I'd like to open the floor. Spirit begins this next part of the reading where God mimics are revealed to say that that which is light or admixture, which is what Spirit refers to as light and shadow mixed together, that which is light or admixture but lacking love cannot truly reproduce the Godhead or allow the full radiance of God through it. So if you're an artist or a writer or a musician and you're putting something out into the world, and then later on you come across maybe on social media or somewhere that someone has reproduced your work and taken it as their own, that can feel incredibly hurtful on a third dimensional level. And yet, from Spirit's perspective, on the fourth and fifth density level, I should say, I keep interchanging dimensions and density because many people speak to this in dimension, but really we're moving in density, and there are many dimensions within each of these densities. So what I'm trying to say here is that we cannot reproduce the Godhead. And even if someone appears to have reproduced an original something or other from somebody else, that it will not allow the full radiance of God through it. And at best, it can create a simulation that mimics the creation of God. And so while this happens, of course, on the 3D level all the time, this is also how this particular universe, not how it was originally designed, but when it was hacked, if you will, it became a simulation that mimics the creation of God. And so for a time, several thousand years, the God of this world had dominion over this simulation. And the God of this world was not the loving God, the wise God, the all-knowing God that we speak to as source energy. It was what we might call demigod or creator God. And it is the matrix and the world of the light bearer. And as the world transitions from one density to the next, we will shift the dominion of power from that which mimics to what is the original blueprint. We are moving from the beast system of predator prey consumption energy, once again, back into the original blueprint. Divine creator has intended for this planet. So this was originally a ninth density planet. It was a place for the soul to come and kind of experience, at first, a sort of physicality, because it was still more of a light body than it was a physical form. But over time, a physical reality, a place where, you had to have a space of time or energy between that which you thought and that which you made manifest. And when this planet was shifted into the simulation or the great fall of consciousness, we fell into this third density, which is, based on kind of this primal fear. We think about maybe the time of the dinosaurs and this energy, this ancient energy of primordial fear. And we've been working through that as a species. And now we are now moving up through fourth density, which I always call nightmares and dreamscapes, because some of it is absolutely stunning and amazing. And some of it makes you want to turn around and be that guy in the Matrix who went back and ate the steak. So we have to remember that even though this looks pretty foobarred on some levels, the divine creator actually intended, or allowed is probably the better word, not intended, but allowed for this to take place, and is now bringing the original blueprint and the original divine intention back into the bedrock of this planet. And indeed, it's actually already always been there, but this simulation has been allowed to kind of play out, all the world's a stage type of energy, in order for us to have these particular experiences. So authenticity is what creates a strong frequency within us. When someone has a strong frequency, when they are being their authentic self, even if that authentic self is slightly annoying or irritating, it will still give off a frequency which is strong, which can change the energy of a room. And Spirit said that our authenticity is what creates this strong frequency within us, which then allows us to deepen in our power and strength, and actually have the quantum charge and the magnetism to not only change a room, but to change the whole world with our inner realms. And so when we are doing our inner work to balance and to harmonize and to integrate our inner and outer realms, we are raising our vibration then, and that allows us to live above the weave with this expanded perspective and this felt sense of knowing our reality, where we're tuned into our subtle energy body as our primary navigational guide. So where the heart then is where the frequency, our authenticity, and our vibration, kind of where we are keeping our energy levels, where we're keeping our what do I want to say, like our heart mind focus, that comes into the center as the true cross, the center of which is 0 point, and is our access to the wisdom of source essence. And here Spirit says all healing, all initiations, and all perceived challenges lead us now into this singular point of awareness. Before I move on to the next supporting energy, I'd like to open the floor. The next frequency that Spirit highlights are the energy of made with love, or homemade things, objects that have the love frequency anchored within them. And when something's manufactured, it's produced, yes, here in this third density, but it doesn't permeate multidimensionally throughout the realms. And yet, when something is made with love, or handmade, or particularly made by a child, that actually anchors the love frequency through all time and space. And so if you have things within your house that are handmade or coming from an original source, know that those objects are actually able to be seen by actual spiritual beings in other dimensions, because they are carrying such a high vibration and light within this matrix. And so I'll tell you a funny story from Christmas Eve with actually my other side of my family. And there was a family member who was kind of talking about these women winemakers in Oregon and how they were creating this amazing alchemy. And she was just so passionate about it. And another family member chimed in and said, well, it doesn't really matter who makes it. And the amount of like, what did you say? Like her eyes like almost like shot out of her face. She was like, it absolutely matters who makes it. And I felt Spirit kind of laughing, because I had already kind of felt into this frequency of things that are made with love are carrying such a different vibration. And right now people are seeking what is real. They're seeking what is true and what is authentic, because there is enough saccharine, superficial, as I always say, like glitter piled on top of bullshit, that people are really starting to feel and see through that. And they're starting to realize it actually does matter who makes it, that you receive an entirely different alchemy from something that is created or made with love. And that be that food, medicine, cars, art, technology, you name it. It not only carries the frequency of its third density form, but it also contains its a full spirit essence. And so that's why we are always encouraged to bring our gifts to the forefront, to not be, quote, self-centered in the way where we are either feeling like we don't have what it takes to do it, because they wouldn't have been given to us if we didn't have what it takes. It simply requires deepening and listening and taking the next right action. But when we put those things that are, either created with our frequencies, or, say we are someone who cleans people's houses, and we begin to turn them into like temples of luxury. And when people walk in the door, they feel like they're coming into, like, who knows what, a castle, a kingdom that someone has prepared for them. And so we can do, even what the human self might think of as a mundane thing, standing in line, for tacos or something. We can actually transmit this energy of things that are made with love. We can be that which is made from love, and actually be the frequency of that fifth dimensional form, and allow our third density form to actually carry this full spirit essence. And spirit wants us to know that that which mimics God cannot move into the non-physical and multidimensional realms of love. Therefore, while it may appear shiny and flashy in 3D, beyond it is flat, dull, lifeless, and without substance. And I often hear from clients like, dang, like I'm so tired of this person, like always getting ahead, like when they're always doing the wrong thing. Like, when is it going to catch up with them? And spirit promises, like, it always catches up with you. Like, that which might appear shiny and flashy here will be flat, dull, lifeless, and without substance in the beyond. And the beyond is coming to us. So this is not meaning like, when you cross out of your physical form, this is happening in this eternal now. And spirit highlights, how many times have we gotten exactly what we thought we wanted in life, only to find out it was not what we needed, or that it fell short of how we thought it would feel when we got it. And we're reminded here that light without love can bring truth, but holds no wisdom. And love without light is easily corruptible and swayed. And so we become the integration of this love and light when we allow thy will to be done through us, when we become the divine conduit of grace. And spirit also acknowledges here that this is leading us into a person-to-person economy, that we are tired of experiences which leave us feeling hollow and inauthentic, and we are seeking the fullness and connection that comes from that which is infused with delight and love. And so we're encouraged right now to be that love, to bring those spiritual gifts, those physical gifts that we have into the forefront of our awareness, to share them, and to know that this frequency of love is permeating through time and space. Before I move into the next energy, I will open the floor. This next frequency is that of unshackled, and spirit acknowledges that we are freeing ourselves from the confines of others or our own expectations, and instead investigating creative and perhaps less conventional ways of, quote, making a living. That we cannot expect others to unshackle our chains and let us walk free, that only we can remove what is holding us back. And we're specifically asked to go into contemplative prayer, to ask to be shown in a loving, graceful way. So yes, the rug can get pulled out from under us, sure, but we can also in prayer ask to be shown, like, can do that, help me get unshackled in a way that doesn't suck, God. Like, help me do this in a loving, easy, even perhaps a joyful, peaceful way. And then trust that you're going to know that next right action as it appears. The lyrics, I'll no longer feed them, take me home. And so this reference from spirit to the archons, or to those lower vibrational spiritual forces that, desire to feed off of our despair and these feelings of hopelessness and helplessness and loneliness. And spirit, asking us to make the commitment to no longer feed them, to recognize that this is a control program, and that we have the ability right now, through just taking a breath, through putting our hand on our hearts, to be taken home. And this part of the reading ended with the lyrics, inner compass, inner map, to guide me on my way. And so this acknowledgement from spirit, like, we're not just tossing you to the wolves here. It might feel that way, certainly to the mind, but you will have an inner compass, you will have an inner map to guide you, but it will require us being receptive to that and letting go of any tight grasps that we have on these situations that spirit is attempting to unshackle us from. Before I move into the next supporting energy, I will open the floor again. Spirit is acknowledging that this can be a heavy time, even a shadowy time for the human species on this planet, and wants us to know that we are surrounded with divine protective energy. And we're also encouraged to surround ourselves with positive people and experiences and environments that make us feel safe. That this is actually a time of discernment when we are beginning to look around and notice that which drains us or that which brings us alive. And to call out for divine protection and transparency when we begin to feel these heavier or even malevolent energies kind of collapsing into our field. We can observe any energies which are not aligned with our intentions, our goals, and then simply with kindness, just release them. Because this is the time where we are not kind of dragging any of the entrails with us through this next gateway. We're encouraged to follow our intuition about who and what to trust. This is incredibly important, that these actually are the lessons of spiritual discernment. This is the initiation that all of this, quote, crazy is bringing us to bringing to our awareness. It's so that we can actually have this spiritual discernment and no longer have to rely on any authority outside of our own selves. We're encouraged to retreat and step out of any situations which are confusing us, as this will help us assess what is beneficial for us. Oftentimes, the energy bubbles are so intermixed and intertwined that it's very hard to tell what is ours and what is someone else's. And so retreating and stepping out of any situations which might confuse us right now, as this allows us to assess what is truly beneficial for us. And if we're somewhere where we do not feel like we can fully be ourselves or feel safe in that essence, we must pray to be gently and graciously uplifted to a place which gives us this love and care that we deserve, and to trust that we are worth that. And so through this time, we call on this divine protection, and equally we know that we are always protected. But on the 3D level, sometimes it doesn't, oftentimes it doesn't feel that way. And so Spirit acknowledges that and says, surround yourself with positive people, positive experiences, positive environments, and call out for divine protection. You know, I can't tell you how many times like I just do the mantra of God and angels, God and angels, God and angels, which for me somehow creates this link that makes me feel less like I'm going to die in the moments that it certainly feels that way. So just before I close out the transmission for the evening, we have one more supporting energy, and I will open the floor one last time. This last energy speaks to the fact that we are all up in the air right now. Nothing has come down to the ground. And there may be aspects of important situations that seem hidden from us. And Spirit says there's probably even like this strong, almost urgent desire to know what is going on. And yet we're asked to connect with the divine and ask for insight, while trusting that there are certain elements which at this time are actually just unknowable. It's simply part of the plan. There's too much about the situation which is still up in the air. And Spirit says this could be due to the influence of others who are still undecided, or some events that may simply not yet have come to pass, or unexpected discoveries are yet to be made. So we have to trust that divine timing is the only path forward for us in this now moment. If we start to push too hard to know the influence or what an outcome might be, Spirit says we might actually push that outcome away. So letting go of that tight grasp, letting go of all urgency, and instead giving the situation over to Source, who will take care of it for us all in perfect timing. And once again, highlighting that time is required right now to know more about this matter and to trust that all is happening in perfect timing. This is the time of great revelations. We have deep knowing that all we need to know will be revealed in due time. And once we understand the situation more fully, we can act on it more purposefully. So bringing all of this back around to this energy of the God Mimic Gimmick. The gimmick is up. We talked about the gig being up. This Spirit continues to refer to this simulation, this false reality in that way. And it is just a reproduction, and it is a device that's used to cheat and deceive and trick. And for a long time, it's been secretive and in the shadows, and it's been allowed to kind of show itself to us through media and show itself to us through film, and kind of have this dishonest control, almost a hive mind, I shouldn't say almost, actually a hive mind mentality over us as a species, to kind of dampen and dim that light, to get that divine spark, that authentic frequency so low that we don't have the quantum charge to actually make the change we came to make in the world, to be the soul that we came to be in the world. So for us to move into that fifth density, to continue to shed the heavier debris of fourth density of nightmares and dreamscapes, we have to acknowledge that the God mimic exists and that it has a seductive and distracting appeal. And to acknowledge that we may have to be some of the people who kind of hold out, your arm to help people cross the river, because this is going to be a lot to take in for people who have been following, mainstream media, or who have only been listening to what social media has been offering over the last few years, because we've kind of reached this pinnacle of, it's no longer safe not to know. And so God is going to be revealing things to us in perfect timing, and in ways that are palatable for people, so that they don't have so much cognitive dissonance that they cannot integrate the information. So embracing this transition, trusting that these God mimics will be revealed, asking for the spiritual discernment to know who and what is false light, what is the simulation, because there's many things that appear, quote, spiritual, that lack soul. And you know it because you can't feel it. It all sounds great, but there's nothing that's hitting you, at that core, at that authentic frequency. And that made with love frequency that Spirit highlighted tonight, like, how are we going to be that which is made with love? And how are we going to create in the world with that frequency, so that as we unshackle, as we begin to know who we truly are, remember what we came to do here, that we trust in that divine protection, knowing we are that divine protection, as we, as Christ said, walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and Spirit saying here that everything is up in the air. So trusting that while this simulation exists, that it is all purposeful, and that we actually are the power that diminishes it, that dissolves it, and we don't even have to fight it. That's the most beautiful thing, is that we simply have to see it and embrace it with what Spirit would call the black light, or the Mother Mary frequency, the frequency that allows you to be the weave, to see all the parts simultaneously, and to know that everything is always perfect. So on that note, I think I have touched on all the points that Spirit wanted me to cover. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up before we move into the after call party chat after the recording? I appreciate everyone so much here in the live audience. I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the recording. And thank you so much to anyone who's listening to us in the replay. We honor you and thank you for being here with us. We feel everyone who joins us here through time and space, and just so joyful and thankful that we have this time and space to get together. I will see everyone again next Monday.